Alright, hello. We are here with another dungeon walkthrough. This one is Halls of Valor. I'm doing it on a little bit lower of a key level just because halls can be a little overwhelming. So typically what will happen is this is probably going to go by a lot slower than your typical key. So usually people... Okay, he is pulling all the way up here. So basically with these two mobs here, we have the Thundercaller and we have the Champions. The Thundercallers are going to apply this debuff. You can see it on the Hunter right now. As soon as that debuff finishes, it will put a dispellable debuff on that player. You want to dispel that immediately. So that's like #1 importance. Anytime there's a Thundercaller in the pack, make sure you are like instantly dispelling that as soon as it goes on someone, and you can see it ahead of time who it's going on. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, they just do a spammable cast that just does damage that's interruptible. Like a single target cast on random players. And then the champions just do power attack, which is just a like hard hit on the tanks. So whenever you have champions in the pack, just be aware that the tank's going to be taking a decent amount of damage. And then here we have the Storm Drake. So what the Storm Drake does is he's going to do a frontal breath at the tank. And then he also does this crackling storm where he targets a player ahead of time. And then he like fires a projectile at them. And when it lands on the ground, it creates this little tornado. And you can get out of the way ahead of time. So like right there, the crackling storm, and then you just move out of the way when the swirly spawns. Simple enough.
The elements answer to me.
And then there's the lightning breath. So whenever the lightning breath happens, you just want to make sure you're not wherever the tank is. Alright, and then we have first boss. So first boss is actually really easy in terms of healing. So all you really need to do is just make sure that the group is full health for every Horn of Valor. So here the Horn of Valor is happening in a moment. It does a burst of damage to the group, obviously scaling with key level. And then that's pretty much the only healing check. Other than that, we're just watching where these dragons spawn. And we are moving out of the way of wherever they are going. So like right now, the group's all standing in mid. They're going to take a ton of damage because they're all standing there. I probably could have saved the Hunter, but I was using him as an example, so that's my bad. So it'll just always be Horn of Valor and then watch where the dragons are. And they will just spawn, you know, in these rows, essentially. There's like a front row, a middle row, and a back row. And you just watch where the first one's spawning, get out of the way, and then go to where the first one was. And here we're just topping off the group again. So right now we have the back row is not safe, so we just stay in the middle. And then the middle's not going to be safe, so we need to move over here and get out of the middle. And then this one's going to go through, so we're going to go back into the middle. And they're all going there, so they're going to get hit again. I'm just going to get ready to use Divine Toll. There we go. And then the only other minor thing that the boss does is Bloodletting Sweep, which is going to be like a big tank hit, but you most of the time won't need to do any like extra healing or anything through it. It's just something to make sure like the tank is topped up for. So top up the group for the Bloodletting Sweep, top the tank for the Bloodletting Sweep, top the group for the Horn of Valor. And here we have back row again for the dragon. And then that's it. Alright, next up we have the Mystics added into these packs, still have the champions. So the Mystics are just going to cast healing spells, and you just want to interrupt them. So you just interrupt the Mystics as much as possible. So they do Holy Radiance. If that cast, it just instantly heals like all of the mobs nearby to almost full HP. And then they also cast Rune of Healing, which puts like a rune on the floor that does a smaller amount of healing, but it does it constantly rather than like one tick of healing. So just interrupt the Mystics, otherwise they don't really do anything. And then here we have the Runecarver and the Shieldmaiden added to the pack. So the Runecarver is going to cast, I believe it's just one ability on other players, which is called Etch. It's like a really heavy single target damage ability. And you want to watch out for that. So like we'll see when they start casting it. So there's Etch, and if it goes off, then it just does a heavy amount of damage to that player that it's targeting. So you want to make sure you interrupt Etch or heal the player that's getting targeted by it, because it will kill them very quickly. And then other than that, we have the Shieldmaiden, which just does a frontal. You can see this little ability icon by our health bar. That's like the cooldown on the frontal, which is Mortal Hue. Interrupt that. And clear. And then for a while, we should just be dealing with like all the same mobs. So there's the Holy Radiance. You can see it just casts, and it heals themselves, so it's definitely a really important interrupt. I could have just interrupted that. I'll interrupt that one. And a majority of these mobs in this dungeon can also be like stunned and crowd controlled and stuff, so you can make really good use of like blinding light and whatnot. Oh, okay, we're gonna pull the Sentinel. So Sentinel, another new mob, is gonna cast 2 abilities. If you played Shadowlands, these guys were in Shadowlands. They cast Crackle, which just shoots a line of lightning towards one player, and then it remains on the ground. And if you step in it, it does damage after a short amount of time. And it'll keep doing damage, but if it initially hits you, like, you can run through it and not take any damage like this. And then the other ability he cast is the big AoE circle that you saw just a moment ago, I think he did, which is Charged Pulse right here. So when he casts Charged Pulse, you just don't want to be next to him. You just get out of the circle, and that is it. So avoid Crackle, but you can move around on it if you have to, and then get out of the circle. That's pretty much all he does. Oh, there is one important note about the Sentinels. They make everything else around them, like all other enemy mobs, they make them immune to crowd control and interrupts. So never pull the Sentinels with other mobs, especially like the Runecarvers and the Mystics and the Thundercallers and stuff like that, because it can get out of control really quickly. With the Warlock real quick. And now we have that Thundercaller again, so we're going to watch out for the debuff. There it's on the Monk, and then we just instantly dispel. And now it's on the Monk again. So we did dispel. Okay, it died right before the debuff went off, so it doesn't actually end up hitting him if the Thundercaller dies during the debuff. And then now we just have lots of Shieldmaidens, which you just want to watch their frontals, especially in Pugs where the tank is kind of just like wandering around. It can be really bad, so. And then here we're going to have a Valarjar Purifier, which he is just going to cast, I believe, one major ability, which is, I don't remember what it's called, so we'll wait until we pull him. Just being very mindful of the frontals. Alright, so the Purifier casts Cleansing Flame. You want to interrupt it, otherwise whoever he's targeting, they'll spawn constant circles under their feet. You're going to see... Oh, nope, we interrupted it. So they'll just spawn constant swirlies under their feet, and you have to like run away from the swirlies and continually... You can see it on the Warlock right now. So do you see all the swirlies spawning? So we want to interrupt that as much as possible so that we're not spawning a bunch of swirlies, and so that that player can actually play the game and do damage and stuff rather than having to run around from those. So just keep the Purifier interrupted and then watch the frontals on the Shieldmaidens. Alright, next up we have more Shieldmaidens, and we have the Valarjar Aspirant. So the Valarjar Aspirant is going to target a random player with the swirly. It's usually a range. I think it's always a range. she'll jump to that player, do damage, unavoidable damage, and then she's going to do Blast of Light in a random direction. Just everyone wants to avoid the Blast of Light. I'm wondering if I can get her to target me, because what you can actually do with this and what a lot of people do... Oh, where is that shield going? I cannot see that. Okay. I'm going to step away from here for a second and see if we can bait this on us. Because if you bait it on yourself, you can actually, like, line of sight her down the stairs, and she'll just cancel the ability and not do it, which is really, really nice. I'll try to do it on this last time, but if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Basically, if you get targeted by the swirly, you would just step down the stairs and make it to where you're line of sighted from her, and then she'll just cancel the ability instead of jumping to you. So it can make it a little easier for melee, but it's really not a big deal. Alright, so these guys do boss mechanics. So Solstin is going to do this right here, the Eye of the Storm. You want to stand in it and then use big healing cooldowns, like I'm going to press Wings. And then I'm just generating Holy Power, and it's going to just do a ton of damage over time to everybody inside of this storm. So, and then other than that, the other ability that he does and the boss will do is this Lightning Bolt. He just targets random players with a Lightning Bolt, and it will chain to other nearby players. So you want to make sure you... So the idea is you're spreading out, and then you're stacking up for the storm. So, but you have to spread out initially, otherwise you're just going to get a bunch of chain lightnings. And then this guy is the opposite, or at least during the boss it is. During the Trashier, Ulmir will just cast a interruptible cast on a single target player. You just want to make sure you interrupt that, otherwise they just take a heavy amount of damage. And then you just want to dodge these orbs that he shoots out from him. And that's pretty much it. Interrupt Searing Light and dodge the orbs. Now the boss is going to do very similar stuff. Except I believe she does not do Searing Light. She does a little bit of a different ability. So we're going to get some mana, and then we will go ahead and talk about the boss.
Marked by lightning.
The light shines eternal in you, Herrscher.
Oh, I'm just lusting and going right into it. Okay. So we're going to run over here. Now the boss needs to be on one side of the room, and then she gets empowered by that ad that we killed earlier, and she'll use their abilities. So now she's going to cast Eye of the Storm. This is going to hurt, so you want to make sure you always use like one major healing cooldown for every single storm. So this one I'm using Divine Toll, which technically you can use Divine Toll for all of them. I just don't have wings up. Oh, that did not happen correctly. So we're going to run over. Oh, it's because the tank bubbled. That's what happened. So he lost aggro. Gonna B-res one of these guys. So now we're going to be getting targeted by Expel Light. It targets 3 players. So there's the last player that it's targeting, which is the Warlock. And then she uses the Orb ability. But other than that, she just does that. So you're going to see it again because she's going to do it again here. So she'll target the Warlock is the first. And you just want to keep them topped up. So now I'm getting targeted, so I'm going to press a defensive, and then top myself up. And then we need to top up the Hunter, because he's about to get hit. And then we'll do Eye of the Storm again. So we're going to stand in this. I'm going to press Wings, press my Beacon. Pressed it a little bit too soon, but that's okay. And then we are just healing everybody up during this storm. Now the Shield of the Light targets the tank every time. It's because he bubbled, that's why it like flipped around and hit everyone else. And usually the tank will use the Shield of Light to get knocked towards the other side of the room. So for every Shield of Light, you want to make sure that the tank is full HP. And the Shield of Lights just happen in between each phase. So after she uses like the special ability, the Storm or the Sanctify, she'll use the shield on the tank and like send him flying across the room. And that's pretty much the whole fight. You just rinse and repeat. And the reason you're going back and forth to each side is because she gets empowered the longer she's sitting here. Like, as this ability's channeling on her, you can see that she's getting a buff. And the buff resets every time she goes to the other side. So, and here she has both buffs, which is the worst possible thing you could ask for. So, luckily she's dying, but if she ever gets stuck like that, it is very, very bad. because then she's getting empowered by both ads, meaning she'll cast like all the abilities at the same time pretty much, and it just gets out of control really fast, and she gains a bunch of stacks, and she isn't resetting any stacks. But that is it for Herja. Next up, do we have anything new in here? No, we do not. I don't think we're going to encounter anything new until we get into the... oh, I tried to tab target interrupt that, but that did not work. I don't know why I targeted everything but the Mystic. That was really awkward. Maybe it's because he was out of my range just slightly. Just dispelling the Thundercaller debuffs. And dispel. We do get one more new mob in here, the Marksman. So the Marksman is just going to cast Snapshot on the tank, which is going to do a tiny bit of damage. And then she'll leap away. She always disengages away from the tank. So if you face her back into a wall, she'll just disengage into the wall, which is really nice. And then the main thing that she does is cast Penetrating Shot, which is just she'll just target a random player and shoot in a straight line towards them, and it will just hit like right here, you can see her just targeting in this direction, and it'll just hit everyone in that line for a really heavy amount of damage. So you can either crowd control her if people aren't getting out of the way, or you just want to make sure that you're getting out of the way of the Penetrating Shot, because it will probably kill you on higher fortified keys and stuff. Next up, we are going to have the dragon that comes down, and that's the same thing as the dragon from the start of the dungeon. There is one additional thing about this dragon in particular, is that when he is at, I believe it's like below 30% HP, he enrages, and you can actually drag, if you want extra percentage for free, it's something you have to be really careful of though. But if you want extra percent, you can actually drag these stags into the guy. I'm going to just pull one just to show you guys. So we bring the stag to him, and when he's under 30%, he's just going to eat it, like, instantly. See it right there. Maybe it's under 20%. So under 20%, he just eats the stags, and he gets empowered from it, I think. I think he gets, like, a damage increase, but he's such low health that it doesn't really matter, and it still gives you percentage for killing the stag. So something that could be worthwhile if it's something you want to do. In pugs, definitely don't do it like I just did it, where you just pull it, because those stags will kill people. Oh, that was awkward. This really didn't pop up for the longest time. So yeah, don't pull it on top of people. I just wanted to show that it does in fact work, and you do get percentage and all that stuff. And then here, the Angerhoof Bulls, they're just going to cast a Stomp. They cast Piercing Horns, which does like a moderate amount of damage to the tank, and then they cast the Stomp, and that the Rumbling Stomp, and that just does damage to everyone around them, so you just want to make sure you get out of the way. We are in a bit of a predicament here, so I'm going to bubble and bop. This is a really nasty pull to do because there's 2 marksmans and 2 trappers. The trappers don't do anything too important. It looks like we are going to die here, though, so I don't have a V-res. The trappers just throw traps under random players' feet, so you just want to make sure you don't step on the traps, because they will just do damage to you. Wonder if we're going to keep this alive. Looks like we're trying to. I guess we can just run away. They don't really do too much. Oh, don't want to break him out. Oh, unlucky. I guess they spend a lot of their time casting and stuff, so... Oh, almost stepped on that trap. Just holding the line until the tank gets back.
The elements
Oh no, he's starting to take damage. Now we're running back the other way. Oh, that's the part where I die. And the tank just showed up, feels bad. I think I just run back while they're fighting these. Yeah, that pack's rough because there's actually a lot of damage going out in that pull, so it's something you normally don't do. I think the tank just got knocked back into them or something, so I don't think it was intentional. Alright, we are back, and I hope we skip this. It looks like we are. You can just hug the right here and skip these. And now we are going to talk about Fenrir. And Fenrir has two phases. He has a 100% to 60% phase where you fight him over here, and then he goes over to his cave over here, and you fight him again from 60% to 0%. The fight actually is harder from 100 to 60 because he only does two abilities, which is going to be Ravenous Leap. I think he should do first. So he'll target random players with a arrow above their head. Of course, he does the Claw Frenzy first. It's okay. We're still going to talk about the leap first. So here's the leap. Targets random players. I'm not targeted. And then he'll jump to them and cleave them with a bleed. And if anyone is nearby, like right there, the monk stayed in melee. So I got cleaved because I didn't see him with it. So I took the bleed too. So now we both have a really, really nasty bleed. It's honestly one of the heaviest hitting bleeds in the game. And then the next ability that he does is that Claw Frenzy, where he has a big circle spawn around him. You actually want everyone standing in that, including ranged DPS. So if you're like a range dealer, make sure you stand in it, because it splits damage to everybody inside of it, and it does a massive amount of damage. So you need all 5 players in it at almost any key level, otherwise the other players that are stuck in it are just gonna die. And then we have these wargs that you're going to fight before the boss to clear some space. And these guys just jump to random range targets and do a heavy amount of damage. So you want to keep the range nice and healthy. And then also make sure that you stun and crowd control the wargs as much as possible if you need a break from the damage that they're dealing.
The elements answer to me!
Alright, so now we go back to fighting Fenrir. And the other abilities he casts is going to be Unnerving Howl. He cast that during phase 1 too, I just didn't talk about it. But Unnerving Howl right here, it's just if you're casting an ability, it will interrupt you. So just don't be casting during the Howl. It summons a little bit of ads, they don't really do anything. And then we have the Leap. Leaps to people, the tank got 2 stacks because there's people next to him. And then here we're going to probably have the Claw Frenzy. Not everyone is standing in it, so the melee and I are going to take a lot of extra damage. And then we have Scent of Blood, which targets a random player and chases them. They need to run away from the boss. Or you can use things like Blessing of Protection. Warriors can use Intervene to block it. Make sure you're a Prot Warrior, though, if you're going to use it, and so on. And you can also use like other big immunities or defensives to block it. And then we have the Leap. If I want, I can remove my bleeds with Bubble. You can also remove the bleeds with Bop, as far as I'm aware. And then that's it. And the reason this phase, because I did mention it in phase 1, the reason this phase is easier than the phase 1 is because he does that that charge. I forgot what it's exactly called. The thing where he like charges the random player, where he was on the Warlock, and that ability buys you time to be able to keep up and heal like through the bleeds and stuff. Whereas in phase 1, he just does like Howl, bleeds, AoE, Howl, bleeds, AoE, just like constantly. Like he just does them back and forth, but in that phase he does the fixate, so it gives you time to heal through those bleeds and kind of gives you a break from the abilities. All right, and then up next, we still have a little more trash to do. These packs are all things that we've talked about before. We got the Purifier, and for some reason, when you pull them back like this, like the tank did, you have to hit the Purifier. He doesn't like to move unless he's been directly hit. So you can pull the pack and get in combat with him, but he'll just stand back there and like channel some random roleplay thing. So you have to make sure you hit him directly, and then you have to be interrupting him, otherwise he does this. I should have my interrupt up, so we're just going to watch him and interrupt him if he starts casting again. Oh, now he's on me, so I'm going to run away. Very clear. And we're probably going to fight these guys, and we still need more percent. We need to be at 83.6% in order to go upstairs into the last boss room. You can still go up there, but you won't have enough percent once you fight the trash that's up there. So we just need to do one more pack after these guys. And the reason we have this massive movement speed buff, by the way, is because we've killed both of the side bosses. Each side boss gives you like I think it's a 75% movement speed. So once you kill both, you have 150% until you get up to the last boss room, and then it takes it off. And we kill one more pack of trash, and this will be enough.
Interrupt.
We have a Thundercaller here, so we're going to watch the debuffs. It's on the monk first. Spell. Oh, we also have a Shieldmaiden, so I don't want to be standing on the tank like I am.
Interrupt.
You can just ignore these spitefuls, and then you go up on this ramp to go upstairs.
The elements answer to me.
I actually might not time this. We're not doing too good on time. We're probably okay, I guess, because it's fortified, so it's not like these bosses take like 3 minutes from what I'm used to. Each boss probably only takes us like a minute and a half at most.
Go through
So here we're going to fight these mini bosses. You can pick which order you fight them in. Also, there's some tech that you can do. If you watch one of like my Healing Out Loud videos, I probably talk about it, where you can activate multiple of them from the start and just make it a lot faster. But basically, each of these guys just have like one special ability. So this guy is going to cast Unruly Yell. It just needs to be interrupted. And then every time that you kill one of these guys and move on to the next one, the next guy gains all the dead one's abilities. So an Unruly Yell just does that right there, just does a heavy amount of damage. And then this next guy, King Haldor, is going to cast, I believe it's called like Mortal Strike or Mortal Hue, something like that. And it is just going to put a bleed on the tank that is going to make him take 20% increased physical damage. It's Sever right there. He blocked it, so he didn't end up getting it. But if the tank does get that, it does stack, and you want to watch out for that. And then there you can see he just casted Unruly Yell, which is the ability from the previous guy. And then now, once you kill 2 of them individually, the next 2 that you fight you're gonna fight together at the same time. So the last 2 activate at the same time. Here's that bleed on the tank. And it looks like it doesn't actually do... I was mistaken. It's not a bleed, it's just a debuff. So Sever is just a debuff that increases physical damage taken. Alright, and then we fight the last 2 guys. So they both have Unruly Yell. They will both cast the Mortal Hue, or the Sever. I don't know why I keep calling it that. I think that's the Shieldmaiden ability. So there's the Unruly Yell. And then what Bjorn does with his specific ability is going to be these like daggers that he throws on people. I'm going to wait till he throws another one so I can see what it's called. It is the Wicked Dagger. It just throws it to a random player, does a moderate amount of damage, and then reduces all healing that they receive by 50%. So it makes it very difficult to heal that player back up to full, but just something you want to be aware of. And then Tor's special ability is why we're moving across the room so much. He summons these honored ancestors, and you either need to kill them, which I definitely wouldn't recommend. I would recommend crowd controlling them like we are. So we have like a hunter trap on one. The warlock feared the other one. I can like hodge this one. We're actually going to die to these Unruly Yells. This is rough. I'm going to interrupt that one. So what the ancestors do is they will just walk towards whoever summoned them. And if they get to the boss, they will full heal the boss. So you just, again, either kill them or crowd control them. I would just kite the bosses away like we were and just crowd control them. It's fairly simple because they walk very, very slow. And then you just don't let them reach the boss, because if they reach the boss, they full heal. The boss does. Cool. So that's all the trash there. Now we just have 2 bosses back to back. Should be pretty close on the timer. So we have a lot of RP and stuff to go through.
As was their right. Your protest comes too late. If these false
And what Skovall is going to do is a couple important abilities. The first one is going to be Fellblaze Rush. He'll target a random player, they'll have a circle around them, and then he'll dash at them and do a heavy amount of damage, and then apply a dot on them. And you just want to make sure that this player is full healed. So, and then the next thing he does is he casts Ragnarok, which is right here. And the tank should typically have the shield equipped, and you just want to get behind the shield that the tank puts up. Simple enough. For the whole duration of the Ragnarok, you just have to be behind the shield. And then the shield will fly off of the tank, and Skovald will pick it up, and now he'll use the shield, so you have to get behind him. And you just want to kill these ads that he's spawning. They drop little puddles of fire on the floor. And then he's still casting Fellblaze Rush. There, he used it on the Warlock, so now we're just going to keep the Warlock healed while he has this debuff. And then the shield flies on the ground again, so the tank is picking it up. I have Fellblaze Rush, so I'm just going to bubble, because it makes me immune to it. You can also dodge it if you're fast enough when he like dashes at you, but usually like immunities are your best way to go. And the Fellblaze Rush does spread to nearby targets. That's what that circle is. So you want to make sure you're not standing in the circle or putting it on top of other players. Here we're going to get behind the shield again with the tank. And then he'll always do a Fellblaze Rush or a Savage Blade right after that, and the Savage Blade just does like heavy tank or moderate tank damage, I would say. But it's something that you shouldn't really have to worry about. Alright, we should have time to kill this.
I never thought I would meet anyone who could match the Valarjar's strength, and yet here you stand. There is one final trial that awaits.
So Odin is our last boss,
Should you triumph,
and he only does a couple things, but it is very important to understand how they work and how you can make them easier on you and your group, because it can wipe your group very, very easily. So the first thing he's going to do is he's going to summon these spears, and he usually summons them on top of players. So Spear of Light right there, he starts with only one. Does a moderate amount of damage to the group when it lands on the ground, and then it spits out these little yellow balls, and you just want to dodge them. So there's another Spear of Light, and it does damage to everyone no matter what. Now he's going to summon an ad. When he summons the ad, he pulls us all into him. You couldn't really tell that it happened there, but he pulled me under him. He pulls everybody in the group underneath him, and then you have to run out of that Radiant Tempest, which is the big AoE thing. We kill this ad, we interrupt this ad, pretty straightforward. And then he's summoning 2 spears now, and he's going to shatter the spears, which summons all the balls everywhere, and then now you need to find the rune that's on you. So I have yellow. This is going to be really overwhelming, so I'm going to explain it like twice. So I found yellow, the Warlock's still finding his, so that's why he's taking damage. And then now we do damage to the boss. And then now the fight repeats itself. So he's going to summon 2 spears now throughout the fight, which is going to do even more damage, because it doubles how much it does. And it also doubles the amount of orbs flying out. Now he does 3 spears, which does a lot of damage. Now he summons another ad. He pulls us underneath him. We usually try to always run towards the ad so that we can help interrupt it and stuff, like right there. If I would have ran that way, it would have just been spam casting. And we're interrupting the ad. Now he's going to shatter the spears. And then we're going to have to find our rune again. So I am probably going to die here. Okay, so I have to go bottom left, which is going to be over here. Boss is dead. But you still take damage from the rune, which is awful. And that's pretty much the whole fight. So it goes drop spears, summon ad, pull in, run away, kill the ad. He shatters the spears, you find your rune. And I think the most important part as a healer is when you're trying to find your rune, you have that debuff on you, and everybody does. So you want to make sure you try to get as much healing or absorbs out on the group as possible, and then go find your rune. And use things like health potions and defensives and all that stuff to survive while you're finding your rune. But other than that, that's Halls of Valor. So I hope this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.